right, welcome back. You're still watching Africa's Finest Breakfast Show. It's a global morning on global television. It's now time for us to reach the business end of the program, where we look at issues in the fintech space. We're talking about the risk involved in the fintech space and how the impact it has on the Nigerian economy, and what are the factors to look out for, and what businesses in the fintech industry go through, and how they, curb or face the challenges that comes with business in that sector of our national life. One man who has the task of helping us through this very interesting talking point is not a person, but someone who is a consultant in the mobile money industry, and he's also an economist. He is Issa Ali Shatta, joining us via Zoom this morning to look at this very interesting talking point. Good morning, Issa.
And thank you for having me.
All right, so we're looking at Nigeria's economy, the risk in the fintech space, and what the impact is on Nigeria's economy. Just take us through when we say fintech, for those of us who are laymen when it comes to the financial sector. When you say fintech, it sounds really cool, but what does it really mean?
Fintech basically means financial technology, and essentially what it means is delivering financial services through technology. And we can see that, spreading. Even the banks are adopting it, using electronic means to deliver financial services to their customers. But fintech delivers even more, whereby, they give access to finance for both the banked, the unbanked, the underserved, population. And if you look at it essentially, beyond you walking into the four walls of the bank, you now have platforms like your app, your phone apps, your bank apps, to access, the services that you ordinarily will walk into the banks to go and do. And some people even hardly go to ATM machine or even go to a POS agent these days, because just at their fingertips from their phone, they can pay their bills, they can do almost everything that they require. So it's the ability of those in the fintech, bringing in innovative products or services to better serve, their customers. So fintech redefined the entire ecosystem of, access to finance generally.
You were involved in a training and a seminar that had to do with looking at the risk of in the fintech space and how it impacts the Nigeria's economy. Can you give us a rundown of what the risk, ratings are in the fintech industry? Then we can now begin to, appreciate the challenges those in the fintech industry go through and how they tackle it.
Thank you very much. There are a lot of risks associated with not just only fintech, but even generally our daily activities. Even you sitting down, you took risk coming to work this morning because you had to commute, to your place of work. And if you don't also take that risk, it's also risky for you because you need to put food on the table, right? So risks, what we might probably call a necessary evil, but it's something that sometimes you just need to take, right? So there are associated risks, of course, involving financial activities. And one of the risks is operational risks, right? And operational risk is the nucleus of all of the risk that you have associated, because with operational risks, you have liquidity risk, right? You have internal control risk, right? You have regulatory risk. You have, I will explain it. You have reputational risk, right? And you have credit risk as well. So I'll give you an example. If, for instance, for liquidity risk, which is also associated, directly or indirectly with credit risk, if we have 10 customers who have brought their money into the financial space, and I have given you loan, Anthony, maybe everything I gathered is 10 naira, and I gave you loan of 5 naira. Of course, these monies are a customer's money. and you had agreed that you're going to be paying back and you're going to finish paying maybe at month X. And month X came, you only paid 3 naira, remaining 2 naira. Now, if all the customers that have this money decide to come to say they need their money, somebody will be short of 2 naira, which means that your inability to fulfill your promise, right, has actually affected another customer. Or another customer comes and want to do some borrowing. We will be unable to meet that obligation because one customer has defaulted. We cannot afford to take another risk, right? So all of these risks are calculated risk. So while you are taking them, you have to calculate. And that's the reason why you see that a lot of microfinance banks today have parked shop, because a lot of people have collected loans. Generally in Nigeria, if you ask people, even individuals who, give loans to other individuals, we don't have this consciousness of repaying back loans, right? So, and it's an attitudinal thing that we need to change. We need to change that behavior if we really want to make the entire system work effectively, right? You have regulatory risk, and I'll give you an example of regulatory risk. Today, you can wake up and you receive a new circular about new guidelines as related to your license category. And you would have made probably a conscious investment in the technology that you want to use to serve your customers. But just because of that singular, tweak in the regulatory, guidelines can affect the general composition of your business. Then you have lost money, you have lost time, you have even lost even human resources, because maybe those who help you in bringing that technology solution together are even no longer with you, right? So you have a legacy problem, which is also another risk on its own. So you can see that regulatory risk can affect your business. Regulatory risk can also stifle innovation at the same time, right? Then you talk about reputational risk. Let me give a typical example. You heard the time when one of the financial institutions had issues where everybody started panicking when they said so money missed, and all of that. So if that news goes to the media, right, it can cause reputational risk where people begin to develop apathy towards that, financial institution, and people become apprehensive to even go and keep their money there or to even transact on the platform of that financial institution. Same thing with airlines. If an airline crash lands, if a plane crash lands today and belongs to an airline, right, everybody develop that phobia to say that first, there's a general phobia to say, should I fly or not fly? But it's inevitable. Most people don't have choice. They just have to fly. And you see that people now start eating towards an airline they feel is safer for them, to fly. So that, can cause reputational risk, on its own. So I can go on and on, but generally, it's just for you to know that there are risks associated with, and if you chose not to put your money in any financial institution, um, burglars can come into your house, burgle your house, and take all your savings, your life savings, right? Then, of course, there is cyber, crime risk as well, which is part of what we discuss as anti-money laundering or counter-terrorism funding. Just some few days ago, you discovered that NFIU released some names of those that they said, were sponsoring insurgency or terrorism in Nigeria. That's another risk that is also associated with, financial risk, because most of these people are definitely using a financial institution or different financial institutions. And anybody who has encountered them, they've actually blacklisted, right? All these people in the financial space. So it is expected that all financial institutions will go and see, the PEP, politically exposed persons. That's what they are called. And once you see it, another sanction has been put on these people who probably should be on your watch list, so that you don't allow any transaction, you don't allow them to consummate any transaction, in your entire organization. So that is exactly what all of these associated risks. Then cyber security risk, of course, there are a lot of phishing mails, malwares, spywares, all of these softwares. Somebody will just walk up to you and say, Anthony, please, can you help me check these items on your system? And they give you a flash drive. Now, as they give you that flash drive, they probably would have introduced, a malware, or a spyware into your system that will take all your login credentials without you knowing. And before you know it, you are exposed. Why? You are exposed through that, I don't want to call it carelessness, but through that innocent mistake that you have just made. So these are the issues that we go through in terms of all of this risk. Then of course you have those everybody have heard about the Bangladesh Central Bank of Bangladesh that was hit by internet fraudsters, right? These guys, developed they developed a means whereby they were able to hack into that bank's platform, and before you knew it, they started cutting away a lot of funds from the Bangladesh's central bank at that time. And everybody knew about what happened, how they layered the money, integrated the money, layered the money through to Philippines, integrated it into casino, and they were able to cash out that funds
All
before
right.
at least the Bangladesh people raised alarm, and they stopped the more inflow or outflow rather of their funds.
All right, you mentioned all these, and I was waiting to hear. Can we put technology, the risk of technology, in the midst of all this risk you've mentioned? And how does it impact an economy, especially looking at the Nigerian economy where we've suffered a lot of inflation and also the exchange rate issue where the Naira's value kept dropping? Is there a way you can throw more light on this?
Yeah, so there's a report by NCC, that's Nigeria Communication Commission, where they said we lose about $500 million annually to cyber security, right? So these are the effect of fraud activities. In fact, globally, if you know the exposure, of cybercrime, most especially in the financial technology space, it's very massive. But the truth is, technology comes with disadvantage and its advantages and disadvantages, right? But the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. The truth is, if every institution or individual, that's why training and retraining is very, very important. If every individual and organization is aware of their responsibility, now you can prevent at least these activities happening, by 90 to 95%. And I can explain to you, Anthony, if you are the only person who comes to work on time and you have a key, just one key that is opening the major door before you can have access to other doors, right? If anything happens inside your office, you are going to be held responsible because you own the major key that at least grant or create access. Now, if you become careless and somebody duplicates that keys, right, or you misplace the key, if somebody else comes in and use that same key, because you are the only person who have access to that key, you'll be held responsible, for whatever thing that has or would have gone wrong when that person have access into your office. So the same thing is with technology. The first point of call is when you see strange links or strange emails. Sometimes these guys disguise to even be like the CEO of your organization, and they will send mail. So, but you know that your CEO cannot ask for some personal information, like saying, I want you right now to grant me access to your personal email and your password. Your CEO will never ask that kind of question because it's personal to you. If there's anybody who want to ask, it might be your tech department, and it's because they want to carry out some investigation on your system or on your environment, right? So when you hear or when you see those kind of phishing mails, we call them phishing mails, you quickly alert, your IT department. Your IT department will isolate all of these and see whether it is a phishing mail or not. And you don't also rush to click on links or any pop-up message on your screen. You know, while you are working, you have to be careful not to do all of that. Sometimes even on your phone, you open some app and they tell you, download this, it will clean up all your junk, messages and all of that. And you don't know, you just click on those things, right? And before you know it, they already, you granted them access into your environment. So first, they don't work in isolation. They need access to get into your environment before they can act. And that's why today you see that, just like I used your office environment, beyond the major access, every other offices will have their own key. So even if they've entered the major environment, they will not be able to carry out any activity until they have access to those other smaller offices. That's the reason why you see that technology is becoming more compact and everybody is building at least solution to guide. That's why you have two factors authentication, right? You want to log in, just for them to confirm that you are the same person who is logging into this environment. They'll ask you to confirm using some codes that have been sent to your own personal phone. And if you are not the one, and you are not the person holding that phone, chances are you will not be able to have access,
All right.
into that environment. Yeah.
All right, let's look at the impact on Nigeria's economy now, specifically. How would you describe the impact and how far-reaching is it, especially if you also remember the Binance issue, how they have been accused of plunging Nigeria into the state ease and also been accused of terrorism financing and money laundering?
I'm going to link it into two ways. One part is regulations. The second part is operators. For Binance, for instance, Binance is a global, everybody knows that Binance is a global crypto company. But the point is, there was no regulation to really guide them in Nigeria. That is one. Secondly, nobody really have visibility into what they are doing in Nigeria, right? And that's the reason why you saw that despite all of those circulars that came out, right, banning, crypto and all of that, Nigerians, individuals still have their right anyways, to get themselves involved in P2P. When I say P2P, that's peer-to-peer transactions. Now, because Nigerians have gone into this environment, they have also exposed the country, right? Because all their informations are on this platform, they are trading on this platform, and at the same time, the platform is not licensed to do business in Nigeria. So what happened? There were a lot of fraudulent activities that took place, or they aided those fraudulent activities to take place because nobody has visibility into what they are doing. And I will explain why I mentioned regulations. You see, today, what the central bank is doing on monetary policy, fantastic. They are bringing out a lot of circulars, they are bringing out a lot of guidelines, they are sanitizing the process, fantastic. But there's an additional layer to what they need to do, which means deploying technology. You can only control what you have visibility of. And the reason why the Binance issue came up was because some people reported. If not, the regulators wouldn't have known what was happening. And I'll give an example. Look at the local NIPS platform we have in Nigeria. NIPS is interbank settlement. All financial institutions, banks, microfinance banks, merchant banks, fintechs, right? PSBs, or everybody, mobile money, everybody is linked into this bank, into the NIPS platform rather. And that's the reason why you see that they can tell you confidently that last year, Nigeria did about 611 trillion in electronic transaction. Why? Because the regulator have visibility to what is happening in the local transaction. Now, when you talk about Forex, there's a whole lot that needs to go on with the Forex platform. Nigeria needs to have its own NIPS Forex platform, whereby all of the people who have been given IMTO license is International Money Transfer License, can come on board this platform, people like Binance, any other person who want to participate in the space will come. So when Nigeria now issue guidelines, if any P2P app or any other app is found wanting, operating in the Nigerian landscape without having a license or without going through a partner that has a license, then Hamas can go heavily on this person or on these operators. So this is the leg that I feel that Nigeria needs to inculcate in their fight against sanitizing the system. And I want to believe that the current CBN management are looking into that, because without it, we will only be dancing right in circles. We will just be playing catch up and we'll be reacting rather than being proactive, you know. But technology, of course, we cannot run away from it. And blockchain, we already have something similar, but we don't have something that is generic that everybody can use to monitor. So it is high time that we started to invest in a technology platform that can address our forests. That will solve the forest crisis by more than 50 to 60%, because it's going to liberalize the market, and it is going to even make, the official rate and even the parallel rate to almost come at par. And market forces can play, because when supply outweigh demand, then you can be rest assured that speculations will be eliminated. Thank you.
All right, let's wrap up the conversation up with a straightforward question to you. Let's look at the CBN and the other financial institutions and the fintech stakeholders. Do you think they have a common front as it is right now, especially in protecting the Nigerian economy?
Yeah, there is. So we need to isolate the conversation. Operators are profit-oriented. Regulators, just like their name is, they are supervisory-oriented. So the regulators are meant to supervise, the financial space. The operators are also supposed to be able to conform to the guidelines. They are supposed to be able to comply, that's the right word, to all of the guidelines. And if you look at what is happening now, the current management of CBN is starting the house cleaning from inside. That's why we are hearing the major shakeups, from, the central bank. So they are doing the house cleaning on the outside. And in war strategy, it is very, very instructive for operators to be careful, to know that by the time they come out, for operators, they will come all out. So every operator is supposed to sit tight, tighten their belts, ensure that the compliance unit, internal control, is well documented and is fully operational. Because this is the gateway that the regulators are going to use to access, the vulnerability of that financial institution. So it is pertinent that every operator, pays careful attention into all of these regulatory guidelines in order for them to escape being sanctioned. And I am 100% sure that this current CBN management are going to go all out in weighing the sticks. The carrot era has, passed. Now they are going to weigh the sticks, because they want to make statement and they want to sanitize the economy immediately. There's a lot of mess that has happened, and they are trying as much as possible to sanitize the environment. So I wouldn't necessarily say that the regulators and the operators are loggerhead. I would just say that the operators and the regulators are trying to find their feet, and I hope and pray that that happens quickly.
All right, thank you. Nice talking financial issues with you, and thank you for giving us a very clear head as regards the risk in the fintech space and how it impacts Nigeria's economy. Just as we wrap it up, just to get a take, I know you're a sports fan also. The Super Eagles will be in action later today, and Fididi George will be having the chance to stake a claim for the permanent position as the chief coach. What's your expectations?
Well, Nigeria's expectations, and my expectation actually, is that we go all out. It's not about winning anyways. It's a friendly match. It's an opportunity for us to discover more or new players. Some new players were invited. Sadly, some of our players dropped out because of injury. But at least an opportunity for the new players to showcase themselves is an opportunity for us to also see the abandoned talent that we have. So expectations, of course, will be high, but it won't be as high as when we are at the African Cup of Nations. Like I said, it's a friendly match, but we are also playing against one of our greatest rivals, Ghana. So everybody's expectation is to say we need to dominate. But in dominating, we also need to enjoy ourselves. It's entertainment, right? Let's enjoy ourselves. But I wish the Super Eagles all the best, and it's my expectation that we win and win convincingly.
All right, thank you very much. Always a pleasure talking to you. And I want to ask you to enjoy the rest of the day. And we're hoping that later today we'll be having some mobile money hit our own account because you're looking fresher than fresh. All right, all right. Thank you very much. All right, so that's how much we can take on our discourse as we reach the business end of the program. We'll go for a quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be wrapping up Africa's Finest Breakfast Show. Stay with us. All right, welcome back from the break. This is one of the most interesting time of the show when you're getting ready to say your goodbyes and you're watching keenly the cameraman and the producer giving signals. All right, I hope you had fun enjoying all we had in store for you, all the tidbits early in the morning from 7 a.m., the discourse and also the taste and texture, the sports and business. I'm not alone to say goodbye.
Of course, you're not alone to say goodbye. You know, I'm like that student that will like Let me talk. Hey, let me talk. I think I'm just excited because it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday, and thank God each and every one of you have been a part of us from 7 a.m. like Anthony Momodu rightly said till now. And hope you have an amazing weekend. TGIF, all right? Happy International Water Day. Drink lots and lots of water. Raise the glass of water, right, Anthony?
Yeah, raise the glass of the other water. It's all good.
Anthony said that, not me. All right, this is the part where we say bye-bye, but no, just keep listening, just keep watching Global Television, Global Morning. For those of you that missed out the course of the week, Saturday is a time for you you will not regret at all on Saturday mornings when it comes to Global Mornings. I am Jude, my co-host, that doesn't know Matt.
All right, as we celebrate the International Water Day, make sure you live up to the theme of this year, which is a transboundary cooperation for water for peace. So go out there, ensure that you share water, and you cannot underestimate the importance of water for individual communities, states, and countries. And that's go out there, drink lots of water rather than the other water. My name is Anthony Momodu, saying thank you for being part of Africa's Finest Breakfast Show. Good morning.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from.
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with ASIS strike.
You have done your work and put us to the wall. We are not the slaves.
I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report.
I have not seen the report.